So good soul to everyone. I'm Thivya. Rannee. I'm a second year aerospace engineering student from Tamil Nadu, India. Today we'll be looking on to the launch center and launch pad in Mars. First, let us see about.
It's like frozen, right? Also, there is a in the bottom. There is a like something like a arrow you can press.
Okay, sir. So, what basically we know about Mars habitat and why do we need Mars habitat? Let us just think about it. We are just living on Earth. We humans have especially the special mind to explore more things. Apart first, we discovered many things on Earth even, but now due to the technological advances, we are moving on to further. We are moving on a further step, like going on to other planets and other solar systems, maybe even. So now speaking on a Mars habit, why do we need to colonize Mars, like Elon Musk told? Because even if a small thing is created, someday or one another it will be destroyed, right? So imagine earth was formed many much billion years ago, but now maybe after many billions years ago it may become extinct or gone from existence. So we can, for the humanity to exist, we are just developing ourselves, like. So now on basis we are advancing to a step of Mars habitat. Now there are many comparisons on Mars and Earth, but people say Earth and Mars are kind of similar, but still there are also many disadvantages in sense there are many differences. So let us see some basic comparisons. First, taking on Earth and Mars, the air content in Earth is consist of maximum 78% of nitrogen, 21% oxygen, 0.9% argon, and 0.1 other 1% of other gases. We know about Earth, but on Martian surface, it is maximum of CO2. So it is difficult for any human to breathe because we humans usually breathe on oxygen. And then moving on to the temperature on Earth is stable. So we can't say it is stable all the times, but it's kind of an average temperature. We say it as 58.62 Fahrenheit. And for Martian surface or Mars, the average temperature is minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And at the polar locations in winter season, it's minus 195 degree Fahrenheit. And at the equator in summer, it is 70 degree Fahrenheit. And for all the planets in the solar system, gravity cannot be same. In some planets, gravity is very much strong, and some it's many more less. On Earth's surface, the gravity is 9.81 meter per second, and in Mars, it is 3.721 meter per second. And now, for imagine we are going to stay in a small place on Earth. What will we see? What is the first point we look into it? It is a geological surface. For any purposes or for anything, the launch center for creating a launch center or a launch pad, Martian geology have to be studied properly. Now, looking onto it, the Martian geology mainly includes the landing site or locations and mineral extractions. Generally, the location for which a rover or a launch vehicle must be landed, or to create a launch pad surface, the surface of the Mars must be smooth and flat. We already know more about the Earth's surface, but on the Mars surface, we are discovering more nowadays. So, choosing a location. Choosing a location for launch center or launch pad, or even for the colonization purpose, the location must be well studied and well thorough. And then the launch center or launch pad or the habitat location must be close enough to the equator, because to get an adequate power supply, this is to get an adequate power supply. Then the site's elevations. It must be low enough to have a sufficient atmosphere above the safe landing and takeoff during the further missions, so that any launch vehicles can be landed and taken off easily. And as usual, the launch pad or launch center have to be nearer to the habitat, and also nearer to the mission control system, just to control everything accordingly. And with the availability of minerals. And in this picture, we can see where are the basic landing sites used till now. The Phoenix, Vikram 1, Pathfinder, Opportunity, Perseverance, Viking 2, Insight, Curiosity, and Spirit. These vehicles all landed in the specific location in Mars. And now moving on, now we have seen thoroughly through the lab, through the geology. Now moving on to the landing part. Just landing site is very necessary in every missions. Even in Earth, we consider landing site a very basic one. And as we saw, the surface gravity in Earth and Mars is different. The launch vehicle must withstand every possible reaction to radiation in Mars surface while entering and also during leaving. For a content, while entering into the Martian surface, the vehicle enters with a very high velocity. Thus, it creates a CO2 N2 plasma. So the launch vehicle must withstand it. Even for in Earth, even for considering Earth, the launch vehicle re-entering Earth will have O2 NO2 plasma. So the launch vehicle should be constructed in such a manner that it can withstand the CO2 N2 plasma. Then the most basic challenges faced in the spacecraft in Martian atmosphere is atmospheric thinness, because there is some differences between atmosphere in Earth and also in Mars. We thoroughly know about Earth's atmosphere, but Martian atmosphere, since we are getting to know more, the atmospheric thinness have to be taken into account. And the measurement of distance to the surface of landing pad, that is the small shortest distance to the landing pad, and inadequate retropropulsive descent and short time to perform entry and descent landing. Now, for the small landing points to be remembered are thermal protection system and atmospheric friction. These both are used to reduce the kinetic energy that needs to be lost before landing. And for landing, parachutes and retropropulsive systems are the mainly used technologies. And high altitude, high velocity retropropulsive system is used for future transportation like heavier cargoes or even transportation of human beings. And we have seen landing. Now launching from the Mars. Landing and launching requires very much care. Now, a well-placed launching pad and a landing center nearer to the habitat zone is to be considered. And the availability of fuel, availability of the fuel and launch pod, intermediate orbiter spacecraft for return flight to Earth. These are all the main important things to be remembered or to be considered for a launch vehicle from Mars. This is a sample rover landing on Mars, Perseverance. And moving on to the next part, the technologies needed in Martian surface. The technologies mainly are water, oxygen, propellants for the rockets and the robots which we need, entry and descent landing vehicles, launch system, power station, 3D structures, helicopters and rovers for mass transportation. Now, once we have used all of fuel to get travel from Earth to Mars, just imagine how will we return from Mars to Earth. So there must be the propellants needed for to enter into Earth again. So that must be we then we must need all the fuel for launching a rocket. Now we are in a mass we are in Mars. We can't expect everything to be same on Earth. So we are utilizing the minerals and proportionals available in Mars. Now, looking onto it, there are many minerals available. Now, looking onto magnesium, using a supercritical CO2 as a solvent, which ignites easily, can be used as a fuel for rockets. Then, carbon monoxide and oxygen engines are suggested to use by zirconium dioxide electrolysis from Martian atmosphere and extracting subterranean water in Mars, like splitting H2 and O2 and using it as using it as a fuel. Hydrogen combined with CO2 to make methane for the rocket fuel. Propellants like CH2 and O2 can be also used. MARPOST, Mars Piloted Orbital Station, proposed the possibility of using nuclear reactors to run an electric rocket engine. These all can be used for as a fuel for rocket. And this process is the most efficient and the most efficient theory of making rocket fuels on Mars is through Sabatier process. H2 and CO2 is used to make methane and water. Water is split into hydrogen and oxygen with O2 and methane being used for. The methane O2 rocket engine this rocket engine can be reused, but this process requires a lot of input energy. The scientists are considering this theory as a well advanced theory to make fuel for rocket and Mars surface. And now looking onto the infrastructure, we are this is the launching center and the main station health facility with all the habitat with all the necessary infrastructures. As I told before, the launching center is situated nearer to the main stations and everything, so that so that the mission can be controlled well. Good. Now, the basic infrastructure includes best design and architecture, radiation and shielding facilities, operations, technologies necessary for installations like 3D technologies, and availability of the resources like minerals. Now, as in the pictures you can see, these are the examples of Mars habitat. So the launching center or a launch vehicle is situated well nearer to the habitat. For in case in any advanced, if you have to take off immediately, it can be done. So it is designed in such a way. And for the management facilities. Now we can look as a launch center or a launch vehicle chief. We must be thorough in what our position is usually used to do. Now, as facilities chief is the chief. Now, under him, the launch center or recovery supervisor, engineering attaché, technical attaché. Launch center or recovery supervisor is in charge of telemetry comms in charge, support systems in charge, and flight crew in charge. Now, looking onto the duties, the faculty in charge, the chief, his profiles. These are the profiles of all the managements. Faculty in charge. He must be in a master's of engineering, flight experience, a good leadership qualities, as he is supposed to look into everyone and make everyone do everything. And risk management and assessment capabilities, and extremely good communication skills, and also a good language proficiency. Launch a recovery supervisor. He must be having a PhD in engineering, flight experience, leadership qualities and risk management and assessment, communications and language proficiency. Engineering attaché, he must be having a PhD in engineering, leadership qualities, risk management and assessment capabilities with a good communication skills. And for the in case of a technical attaché, mechanical work experience, communication skills, and masters in mechanical engineering must be needed. Telemetry comms in charge, masters in telecommunication engineering with a good communication skills. He is in charge for the whole communication systems between Earth and Mars. Support system in charge, masters in mechanical engineering and communication system. As you can see, this the work of a support system in charge is to have a support. Flight crew in charge, masters in biomedical engineering and communication skills. These are all the duties and their profiles of Mars astronauts. Now, looking on to the astronaut training program, the astronauts are usually trained with the topics of orbital mechanics, propellant handling characteristics, telecommunications architecture, launching pad maintenance, external Martian vehicle guidance protocols, basic stress management methods, optical and telemetry guidance, precision approach, and re-entry mechanism. Now, looking on to it, we are sending astronauts from Earth to Mars, a new area, a new environment. So orbital mechanics must be thorough for for the astronauts to enter. And propellant handling characteristics. As we know, we are making propellants for rockets in the Mars. So the astronauts should have an idea of how to handle the propellants and the telecommunication systems. The astronauts must have a good knowledge on telecommunication architecture and launch pad maintenance, external Martian vehicle guidance protocols like rovers and helicopter. The astronauts must be able uh, to ride it, and basic stress management methods. Everyone must be having some stress, because they are in a new environment, a new surface, a new everything. They are getting to know everything. They should not get stressed. So the basic stress management is needed, and optical and telemetry guidance, and precision approach, and re-entry mechanism to Earth. These are all the things the astronauts are trained on. And then looking on to the protocols, there are specific protocols to be followed by the astronauts. Like only an authorized personnel will be allowed to access the command modules, and additional manpower is needed when required. All astronauts must be in their suits during an extravehicular activities. There must be a crew rover on the standby during active missions, like extravehicular activities. During loading of the propellants, working on a launch pad is suspended. Oxidizer and fuel loading operations performed separately, since oxidizer and fuel both can ignite easily. Final pre-launch activities, the vehicle is powered down until all the needed components are loaded, like suits, extravehicular mobility units, and other stuff. Now, looking into the protocols of safety during the launching operation, no crew member other than the assigned astronauts are allowed to exit Mars habitat, because this is due to the safety measures. And during propellant loading and slushing is taking place, no flammable material shall be used nearby. During recovery operations of cargo or passenger pod, the launching center will act as a command and control for the mentioned territory operations. And looking into the conclusions, why do we need to colonize Mars? As I told first, the challenges for humanity to move forward, allowing to perform more scientific experiments. One can learn more about the particular planet. We can, as I told before, humans tend to know more knowledge, and they always wanted to gain more knowledge. So thus, possibility of discovering a new life that could impact life on Earth, because the universe is not alone Earth. It has many kinds of living form, but we haven't discovered it yet. So the possible discovery, thus as I told in the first, preventing mankind from future existence on Earth. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, sir.